Okay, welcome back, and as promised, we are going to talk about this protest that I set up called Excommunicate the Church. Okay? Now, Melissa, you know, almost instantly from when I started this, there was holy fury that was unleashed.
Yes, I do know that.
People are not silent about their opinion as to what this means. And let me just give you lay the groundwork here. The way this protest started was we had gone and seen a preview of the documentary 8, The Mormon Proposition. And while everyone acknowledges the movie definitely has a bias and a message to get out there, I looked past the bias and just looked at the information. And what I found most startling about it was these documents from high-ranking members of the church and the apostles and the first presidency of that organization that clearly spelled out their intention and their purpose to manipulate the California electoral process, which I don't know about anyone else, but for me, that did not sit well. I don't care about the drama or the agenda of that movie. What struck me was that disclosure of deceit. So I know you were pretty passionate about that being shocking, knowing, LDS people that we do and how much they trust these leaders to be the mouthpiece and the spokespersons for God, and here to experience them knowingly and intentionally deceiving and altering public opinion and hiding their involvement to affect the outcome of this conversation. And I realized, I was standing in the shower one morning, and I realized if that had not been the leaders of that church, if that had been a member manipulating elections and deceiving and all those things, that member would have been excommunicated from that church.
In an instant.
Instantly, because the church would never want that person's name associated with the church because it's out of alignment with what the church teaches. And so on a broader scale, what I realized is that we as citizens, as members of these organizations and churches have to feel like we have a voice. Because I know a lot of LDS people who would never stand up and voice an opinion about their leaders because, well, they're specifically taught that they can't. That obedience to their leaders and sustaining these people as the mouthpiece of God is absolute. And that even within the tenets of that religion and in their interviews to go to the temple and what have you, sustaining and supporting these men is the rule. You either do that or you are not part of this organization. And so I realized that there must be an opportunity for people to voice their opinion about the way in which the leaders of this church took advantage of their members, took advantage of the California voters, took advantage of the electoral process, and broke their own commandments, their own rules.
Took advantage of their position of power and access to money.
Absolutely. And for me, I don't care whether or not the church or the leaders of the church have an opinion, weigh in, or put hundreds of millions of dollars towards elections and campaigns. To me, I don't care. What I had a problem with was the deception. The behind closed doors, the dirty secrets that, you know what? If these 1,500 documents hadn't surfaced with their signatures on it and their all these emails and messages and what have you, laying out the reasons why the church has to be secret, this would never have come out. And you know what? The church probably then would or maybe is continuing to choose to do business that way in other states where this conversation and this issue is on the ballot.
Well, apparently they did it in Hawaii too.
Well, my question for you, Melissa, is when I came to you and said, I want to do a protest called Excommunicate the Church, what was your reaction?
Well, when you first said it, I thought you had found this email site or something that already had it. I'm like, great, let's do it. I'm right there. I want it. In fact, I couldn't get onto that link because I was at work, but I instantly forwarded that out to many people. Instantly. And then realized, oh, this is something he's in the process of, and Jason's doing this himself.
Yeah, I hadn't even built it yet. I just asked what was your opinion about it.
Yeah, and I was just already...
Why did it resonate with you so much? Because it's resonating with a lot of people. I mean, there is reaction to this, for and against. I mean, the Facebook fan page for Excommunicate the Church is exploding. The website has hundreds of people going and downloading this open letter to send to the Mormon Church and to send to the media and to send to their government just to voice an opinion that they do not like the way in which these leaders of their church abuse their position. What jumped out for you? Because a lot of people have a lot of different reactions.
It was exactly that. It was, they deserve to know my voice. I mean, I'm not a member of the church, never have been, but they deserve to know the voice of all the people. People of their church and people not of their church.
Well, there are
they get to be accountable.
The thing that was shocking or most profound to me was that not only did their actions in California affect lives of Californians, in the gay community, in the straight community, families, but it affected the lives of members. In that, I know that there were families in the Mormon Church in California who were divided. That half the family didn't feel that it was appropriate to be involved in the Proposition 8, and the church's stance in the church wasn't in alignment with the teachings. And the other half was, well, these are our leaders. This is what they told us to do. We've sworn an oath to support them. And division in the family because something wasn't sitting in integrity for people. And so I liked the idea that here, with this form letter that explains the grievances from many different perspectives, from people who feel like the church's actions was deceitful and manipulative to other people who feel that the church's actions have caused death. People have committed, young members of that church who are homosexual and have struggled with that through their lives, have chosen to kill themselves as a result of the teachings of the church, the actions of the church. So there are people on many different sides of this who have an opinion about how the church showed up. And this seemed like a way for multiple groups of people to say what they want to say and send an open letter of excommunication to the leaders of the Mormon Church. Because like I said, this isn't about members of the Mormon Church. In my opinion, they just were caught up in the fervor, in the zealous obedience of that church. I've got a friend, very good friend. He's a programmer and kind of a conspiracy theorist named Chris, and he calls them sheeple. Because at some point, they are so committed to obedience and following the guidelines and guidance of these people that they forget to look, to pay attention.
That their voice matters, whether it's different from my leaders or not.
And the one thing, I know enough about the Mormon Church to know that they teach not to just blind obedience, to ask for yourself, have a conversation with your higher power, with God. And does this resonate with me? And that was one area that I realized that some people did, some people didn't. Some people just said, okay, the church said to do this, I'm going to do it, because when the leaders say, it's essentially God saying. And the idea of this campaign, Excommunicate the Church, which is at excommunicatethechurch.com. There's a Facebook page. Join the movement. Send a message. If you feel like, for any reason, leaders of this particular religious group have overstepped their bounds, abused their authority, manipulated, take a stand. It's as much as the cost of a stamp and going and downloading a letter. I know that I've received angry emails and conversations from people, but I've received far more people in support of being able to say something, because up until now, there wasn't a mechanism for people to express themselves. And that's what it is. It's an opportunity for us to send a letter and say, church, you're out of alignment. You've been excommunicated, and this is what it's going to take for you to get back into alignment and be considered a respected and powerful and beautiful organization for service and transformation in this world. Because I believe that's what that religion and all religions could be.
Absolutely.
We get to take a break. We'll be right back after this.